So what do you think of my work? Have a sunflower in with my squash. I'm going to take the sunflower out. I'm going to keep the seeds. Clean this all up and see how this is doing. So I took the tool off. You see what tomatoes are growing in here because I haven't even gotten in here. Clean this. Oh, how I wish I would have started this video before I was almost done. Hi all. You know, I came out here to have coffee. It was early in the morning and I got sidetracked. I started looking at this and the tomato was on the ground and it was growing everywhere. When I say the ground, it was in the other totes. And I couldn't get to the full potential of this plant. So I took the tool down. Well, you see, I draped it back there. I pulled the squash out of the tote. It's growing still. There's no problems with it and did a good trimming on it. To see what was in here, I cut the broccoli, cleaned that up. And I looked at this plant and I decided, well, what I really want is I want the orange tomatoes. These are the hybrid sun golds. It's a hybrid because, well, it's not going to grow true. And then I've got a smaller tomato in there, and I think there's actually 3 plants. I'm trying to get in there. I thought there were 2. Yep, there's definitely 3. Now, one of them was supposed to be a delicious, but I have a feeling that one maybe didn't make it. So what I did was I took some tomato stakes, very simple. There's 6 of them here, 3 here and 3 there. And then just some branches. Now, you know how I always talk about you want the birds to get into your tomatoes because they'll get rid of the little hornworms? Well, if they have branches to land on, they'll land on tree branches. They'll land on even your tomato stakes, but they don't like landing on the tomatoes because of the trichomes. I don't think you can see that. You can see them. See the hair? I have to put my hand behind it. See that? Those are sticky. Now, I haven't gotten too much on my hand, which means, and I have been using gloves. I actually use dish gloves. I find that much easier for me to handle tomatoes as well as handling squash. With the branches there, I can get more birds in there, small birds, any type of bird, anything that will eat insects, and that will work out really good. Plus, what I did was, it was all over the place. I brought them all up and I'm winding yarn around. Just around and around, and that will hold it up and it will get the plant to grow in that direction. That's what I'm trying to do, is get it to go in the right direction up. Then I can trim it and do what I want. I'm gonna do the same thing with the other one, except a little different, but still with the stakes and still with just some plain old tree branches. I put a zip tie there. I could have used, if I wanted to, well, masking tape. But I went ahead and used a zip tie and then I tied it with yarn. You know, I built an entire housing unit as a kid with sticks, yarn, and sheets. Yes, as a kid. The entire yard was covered. It had like a bedroom and another room, and I was a kid. But I built it, and it worked, and it stood there until my parents made me take it down. But I had it for the summer. I tried to sleep in it one night. My mother wouldn't let me, but that's another story. Anyways, these will last really good. So this gives an opportunity of birds to come in to land in here and look around, see if there's any insects. I could put some in the middle, but this one doesn't really need it. So I'm gonna finish this up. And you know, it's nothing better than yarn. Yarn from the thrift store that cost me, I think it was 50 cents. And then the zip ties, you can get a whole package for $1. And the zip tie is basically the same thing, the masking tape. It's kind of your third hand, so you can get it up there and then tie it whatever way you want. But with both of them, they should at least last until this tomato plant is gone. And we'll see how long it lasts, or until I decide to plant something else. Those zip ties that you can see over here are from over a year ago. That's how long, and this yarn is from over a year ago. That's how long this stuff lasts for. Remember, yarn is made for clothing. It's supposed to be able to go into the washing machine, into the dryer, and last. And it has been terrific in the garden for me. You want to use string, you use whatever you want. I just use what's cheap and what works. And you can get a good color too. You can get green, and then you won't even see it. But I think it looks pretty good. Well, let me go finish it, and I'll show you the end product. I'm almost done, actually. And then I'll get that back in. That's a Cocoa Zill. And that's a Black Beauty. I'm going to get this all back in there, and it should look really good. I'll decide if I'm going to put that tool back, and I may, because I just had a squirrel come down. He was throwing pine cones at me, and one just barely missed me. Oh, I see. It was a green one he threw down there. Okay, and then he came down and he sat here on the roll bars that Gary put up to keep coyotes out. And he sat there and then he left. So he wanted me out of here because obviously he's taking something from here. I'm not sure what, but that's okay. So I'll decide if I'm going to put the tool back around it. And I would like to set up the tool differently. I told Gary next time he ever builds one of these things to put holes on the top or somewhere so you could put some tomato poles, you know, stakes in there, and you wouldn't have to put it into the totes itself. He said that's a really good idea. He could drill it. He can make blocks. But if there was a few corner holes, just holes, then you could put any type of stick you want in it and still have the freedom of more space for the plants, because I don't think plants really like to be wrapped. You know, they don't like to be touched too much. Some plants, their leaves don't grow that well because they feel constricted. And so I like to try to stay away from the leaves. And I'm talking about material and netting. But it will still grow. A lot of plants won't mind your greens, your broccoli, your kale, your collard. It seems to be more squash plants sometimes. It doesn't stop them from growing. They just don't look as happy. But that's just my opinion. All right, let me get this finished and we'll see what happens when it's done. Let me turn you around. I can't turn you around. Why can't I turn you around? I can't turn you around when I start. I want to show you what I've ended up doing. And look, I got up here early in the morning, still drinking the same cold cup of coffee. And well, you know what? It doesn't matter. I got something done. Let me turn you around. Okay, there we are. I didn't have my turnaround button. All right, so I'm sitting here admiring my work. Probably should have been done a while ago. But the point is, it looks better, and I've got my tomatoes now strung up, and it gives me the opportunity to think if I want to plant something else in there. No matter, it's cleaned up. I got a whole bucket. Oh, let me take a sip of coffee and as you look at it. No bugs in my coffee, so that's good. Sometimes I do. Okay, so what did I do here? Truthfully, the squash is pretty much at the end of life. And why do I say that? Look at the rope. But I've stabilized them. I think I should just grab some stuff from the ground, anything, and just throw it on top as a, you know, as a mulch. And I'll probably do that in a few minutes. I've got the tomato plants all up now. Now, some of you would say, the yarn's not going to work that good. You know, it doesn't matter. I've been using yarn. But let me tell you something. Once you direct the plants in the direction you want, it doesn't matter what you use, because once you direct them, then the plants grow in that direction. So I can always restake and stuff. So let me show you what I did here. See what I did here? See how long that is? It kind of winds and winds and winds. It's still growing, but there's a couple good things in this direction, being pointed up now and not hidden. The bees can find it. As we warm up, we'll get some bees. We're fighting against the weather right now on a lot of stuff. It's getting cool for some reason. And let's see, I can trim off a few more leaves. Pretty much any place that doesn't have fruit behind it, or in front of it, I should say, I can trim off. So I could take this big leaf off too, but it's in pretty good shape, so I'm going to leave it. Now, here's what I did. I used tool to direct the trunk. You have to be careful because it's really, I love my clothespins. You want to just stick them somewhere. You want to gently direct it because it's really close to being yanked out and started over, but I don't think I can get any squash to grow anymore this year because of the weather. That's the big thing. Our weather now has dropped into the 50s at night, and a lot of times zucchini just won't do that. So I'm gonna just kind of cater to it, tied it up with tool not to hurt the main trunk of the plant. Don't know why it's got so much curly things, but this isn't Black Beauty. This is the Cocozelle, so that's interesting. Same thing here. I tied it up with tulle and then I kind of reinforced it with a little bit of yarn. And what I've done is I brought the leaves up. So now it's going to reach the sun. Let's step back. We'll see if I can get a few more fruit off of it before the season's totally gone. And we've got a male flower here. We've got some fruit there. If this one did not get pollinated, take it off as soon as you know. If you see it's not growing, because you can still chop that up and put it in an omelet or something. Remember, if the fruit doesn't get pollinated, it's still totally edible. Think about it. People eat the flowers. So why wouldn't you be able to eat the little fruit that didn't get pollinated? It's just not going to get a big one. And then here, it's all strung up here. So now I can have birds come in here and look around, and it's just neater. I can see myself what's going on instead of losing tomatoes. See, oh, that's actually a really good one. Oh, let's get that too. There's another one. Been collecting the tomatoes. See, that one's pretty much gone. I don't know if I can use the tip on that. And that's the sunflower. I can put that away for later. But I couldn't really see in there. So now I've got the 3 tomato plants, I think very neatly strung up right now. It kind of looks real, I don't know, rustic. I like it. I like that look. If I had big enough sticks, I would just use sticks, but I know that they'll deteriorate in the soil. Remember, it's going to return to the soil. Plastic doesn't. So it works out better to have it plastic coated. These are kind of got a metal with a plastic coat on it. I don't know if these will make it. See, I planted them and it's too late in the season. They're kind of sitting there, but now it's open. They're get more air once the sun gets past these trees. But see, it's still way back there and it's got to go all the way across to give it some sunlight. So I'm not sure if they have enough sun. We'll see. The tomatoes should do good. Tomatoes don't mind not having enough sun as long as they have air. And so that's really, really good. And I'm loaded with tomatoes down there, and green ones and red ones and everything. And the same thing here. I can take a few more leaves off, but I've messed with the plant so much I think I'm going to leave it. Grab some stuff off the ground, just kind of top up the soil as a mulch, because this is, I guess it's broken down leaves and wood chips. Remember, pine needles don't break down. There's nothing wrong with them, but if you want them to break down, chop them up. They're like a straw. I've got a video on that. And when you put them in a tote, they're really good to put on the bottom. They just don't break down. But when you break them, well, you see, you can't break them. They're like a piece of plastic. They're wax. The microbes don't eat through this way. They eat through this way. So when you break them, they can get in there. So the more you chop them up, the more they can break them down into a soil. But like this, it's coated and protected, so it doesn't really break down. That's why a lot of zoos, I heard, use it for mulch around the zoos, because it can last for 5 years plus without changing. So that's basically it. So now I'm going to decide if I'm going to put this tool back. I might drape it back around a little bit, clean this plant up too. I've got to get the sow thistle out. I could leave the sow thistle. Let's see, that leaf is not that good, so I can put it in my compost tea. Okay. And that's about it. Many people ask, how long do I keep it in there? Technically, you want to rot it. It takes 2-3 days and just use it and start it over. But I get lazy, and sometimes I just build on top. I keep it covered. No mosquitoes get in there. And when you uncover it, it stinks. And then when I'm ready, I dump it. But you can make it all the time. You could let it sit for a while. It doesn't hurt anything. I can't smell it when there's a cover on it. So that's it. I think all in all, it looks really good. Look at this. Lime, the finger lime, is all of a sudden bursted into life. I've been dipping into that and putting it into there, and it just took off again. I've got to get these finger lime. Oh, there's another big one. Look at that. I mean, it's little, but it's starting to really take off. That's really, really cool. All right, so I think, there's another one. Ouch. Lots of thorns. There's another one there. These have thorns, like really bad thorns, so you got to be careful. Those are all thorns. All right, so I took you with me, and that's it. It's done. And if you've got some tomato plants, you want to get them up. It's amazing. Sometimes you can look at a tomato plant on the ground. You think, oh, I got to pull it out, start over. Trim it back a whole bunch, and then stake it up, and you find out you got a nice looking plant under there. Now I think it's going to get a lot of airflow and really take off. All right, I'm going to go get some other stuff done and bring the tomatoes in and find a place to hide the seeds until spring, and then I'll set out some more sunflower plants. With that, have a wonderful, wonderful day. You'll see this on the garden tour in a couple weeks, and let me know what you think, what it looks like in 2 weeks. See if it was worth it, and if the plant doesn't make it and it's not happy that way, I've got myself more plant soil because I'll just compost it. Have a great day, and don't forget to eat what you grow. Bye-bye. Cool. At least I got something done this morning. So what do you think of my work?
Looks great.
It looks great. Aren't these terrible, these chairs? You pick them up out of the trash and you bring them home and tell me to sit on them. What's that look for?
Well, they're for 20-year-olds maybe.
I have yet to see anybody in my family, 20-year-olds sitting on these things, but it's probably true.
Well, because no one has these chairs, yeah.
Well, that's why they end up in the trash so often, but no, I don't know. Anyways, they're comfortable. Once you're in them, Oh, you don't like them even when you're in them?
No, it's like sitting in a sports car. That might be perfectly fine sitting in a sports car, but getting in and out, that's the issue.
That's true. All right, well, I was admiring your finger lime, and I was admiring this, and it would be great the next time you make it to make some holes in the top. It doesn't have to be really deep, but just some holes so I can stick stakes on the outside. I mean, yeah, I can stick stakes on the outside, but then you take away from the look. But if it's in the top bricks, then you can pick and choose where you want a stake to hold something up, and it's not going to hurt anything. So, all right, well, wave goodbye. I'm going to go in and get stuff done.
Now, this is goodbye.
This is goodbye. Oh, you didn't know my phone was on? Yeah, it was. All right. Wave goodbye again. Seriously.
Bye.
Seriously. Tell everybody to like and subscribe and sub, and I don't know what else I'm supposed to say.
If you like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. If you want to subscribe, feel free to subscribe. And if you want to share this video with someone you might think would be interested in it, feel free to share it.
You have no idea what this video was even on.
No?
Okay.